pediatrician schedules appointment with his ex-wife and faints when she arrives with twins who look just like him. Dr. Michael Anderson was overcome with sadness as he walked through the empty halls of his clinic. 3 years had passed since the most painful divorce of his life, and he still couldn't understand how everything had gone so wrong. Then the phone rang on that rainy Thursday afternoon. The voice on the other end made his heart stop for a few seconds. "Dr. Michael, it's Jennifer Miller. I need to schedule an urgent appointment for my children," said the trembling voice he knew so well. Michael felt the world spin. It was the voice of his ex-wife, the one he hadn't heard in over 3 years. His hands shook as he held the phone. "Jennifer, how did you get my number?" he asked, his voice strained. "Please, Michael, this isn't about us. It's about my babies. They're sick, and all the pediatricians in the city are fully booked. You're the only one who can see us today," she replied desperately. Michael closed his eyes. His career as a pediatrician was renowned throughout New York, but treating his ex-wife would be like reopening wounds that still bled. "All right, come at 5 this afternoon," he said, unable to deny help to children in need. After hanging up, Michael stood frozen for long minutes. Jennifer had remarried soon after the divorce. He'd heard through mutual friends that she was happy, that she had a new life, and now she had children. The afternoon dragged on. Michael tried to focus on his other patients, but his mind raced toward the reunion ahead. At 5 sharp, his secretary knocked on the door. "Doctor, your patient is here," she announced. Michael straightened his lab coat, took a deep breath, and told her to let them in. The door opened slowly, and Jennifer appeared, carrying 2 babies in her arms. She was thinner, with deep dark circles and a paleness he'd never seen before. But what made Michael stagger were the babies. 2 identical little boys, with the same brown eyes he saw in the mirror every day, the same face shape, the same dimple in the chin he'd inherited from his grandfather. "My God," Michael murmured, gripping the desk to steady himself. Jennifer was pale too, watching his reaction. The babies, around 8 months old, stared at Michael with curiosity. "Michael, I know this is a shock," she began, her voice breaking. Are they my sons?" he asked, still unable to believe what he was seeing. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Jennifer nodded, tears in her eyes. The babies began to whimper softly, as if sensing the tension in the air. "I found out I was pregnant a week after we signed the divorce papers," she confessed. "You'd already moved to Boston to work at that new hospital. I didn't know how to tell you." Michael sank heavily into his chair, trying to process the information. 2 sons he didn't know, had never held, who called another man Dad. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Because you made it clear our story was over. You said you never wanted to see me again," Jennifer replied, rocking the babies to soothe them. Michael remembered the harsh words he'd spoken on the day of the divorce. Words fueled by pain, by the anger of believing she had supposedly betrayed him with a co-worker. "What about Richard, your current husband?" he asked, referring to the man she'd married. "Ex-husband," she corrected bitterly. "He found out the boys weren't his last month. He did a secret DNA test and left me the same day." A heavy silence filled the office. One of the babies stretched a tiny hand toward Michael, as if recognizing him. "Are they sick?" asked Michael, trying to focus on what truly mattered. "Chronic asthmatic bronchitis. It started 2 months ago and has been getting worse. I've already spent all my savings on doctors and tests," Jennifer explained. "Dr. Henry, who you know, said they needed a very experienced specialist. He's the one who gave me your number." Michael moved closer cautiously. The babies watched him with big, curious eyes. When he reached out his hand, the smaller of the 2 gripped his finger with surprising strength. "What are their names?" he asked, feeling his heart race. "Ethan and Noah," Jennifer replied. "Ethan is older by 5 minutes." Michael smiled for the first time in a long while. Those were names they had chosen together years ago, back when they still dreamed of having children. "Let's examine them," he said, trying to maintain his professional composure. During the exam, Michael discovered the boy's condition was more serious than he'd thought. It was a rare form of asthmatic bronchitis he knew well. He'd suffered from the same problem as a child. "It's genetic," he explained to Jennifer. "I had the exact same thing as a baby. That's why they developed it." "Is there a cure?" she asked desperately. "There's treatment. A specific treatment few doctors know, but one I know exactly how to do," Michael replied, already forming the plan in his head. Just then, the office door swung open unceremoniously. Mrs. Barbara, Michael's mother, entered with her usual imposing demeanor. "Michael, I came to bring the papers you—" She stopped mid-sentence upon seeing Jennifer and the babies. The atmosphere grew tense immediately. Mrs. Barbara had been one of the main causes of the divorce, always criticizing Jennifer and saying she wasn't good enough for her son. "What is this woman doing here?" Mrs. Barbara asked coldly. "Mom, please, not now," Michael pleaded. "And these children?" she continued, eyeing the babies with suspicion. "They're my grandchildren," Michael answered, surprising everyone, including himself. Mrs. Barbara paled. Jennifer held the babies tighter, as if shielding herself. "That's impossible. You divorced 3 years ago," the older woman said. "And they were conceived 3 years ago, Mum, a week before the divorce," Michael stated firmly. "Jennifer, you'll need a paternity test. We won't just take your word for it," Mrs. Barbara declared. "Mom," Michael protested. "It's fine," Jennifer interrupted. "I'll take the test. I have nothing to hide." "You don't need to," Michael said, looking at the boys. "Just seeing them tells me they're mine. They have the same birthmark I have here on my arm." Michael showed a small crescent-shaped mark on his right arm. Jennifer gently pulled back Ethan's onesie, revealing the same mark in the same spot. Mrs. Barbara fell silent, clearly shaken by the discovery. "Mom, I need you to leave now. I have patients to care for," Michael said with authority. After Mrs. Barbara left, Michael turned his attention back to the babies and Jennifer. "They'll need daily treatment for the next 6 months," he explained. "Specific nebulizations, controlled medications, and constant monitoring." "How much will it cost?" Jennifer asked apprehensively. "It won't cost anything. They're my children," Michael replied without hesitation. Jennifer began to cry. "Michael, I know you have every right to hate me. I should have told you about the pregnancy. Why didn't you? The truth this time," he pressed. Jennifer took a deep breath before answering. "Because your mother came to my house the day after the divorce. She said that if I tried to come back into her life or cause any trouble, she would make sure to destroy my reputation in the city. She said you were relieved to be rid of me." Michael felt anger rising. His mother had interfered in his life more than he'd realized. "And then, when I found out I was pregnant, I thought you wouldn't believe the twins were yours. You were so sure I'd betrayed you with Frank," she continued. "About that," Michael began, but was interrupted by Noah's crying. The baby started having trouble breathing. Michael acted quickly, preparing an emergency nebulizer treatment. Jennifer watched him with admiration and gratitude. "He'll be okay," Michael reassured her, "but you need to start the treatment today." In the weeks that followed, Michael found himself torn between his hospital duties and caring for the twins. Jennifer brought the boys in every day for treatment, and slowly they got to know each other. Michael discovered Ethan was the braver, more adventurous one, always trying to explore the office. Noah was calmer and more observant, preferring to stay in someone's arms and take everything in. "They're really smart," Michael remarked during a nebulizer session. "They take after their father," Jennifer replied with a shy smile. "And the stubbornness comes from their mother," he shot back, making her laugh for the first time. But the peace didn't last. Dr. Edward Thompson, head of pediatrics at the hospital where Michael worked, called him in for a talk. "Michael, there's been talk about you treating your own children," Edward said seriously. "What's the problem?" Michael asked. "Medical ethics question treating close family members. Your professional judgment could be compromised," his colleague explained. "They're visibly improving. The results speak for themselves," Michael defended. "I know, but some colleagues are questioning your conduct. Especially Dr. Victor," Edward said. Dr. Victor Stone was a younger colleague who had always envied Michael's position at the hospital Ambitious, he'd stop at nothing to get ahead. What exactly is he saying? Michael asked. That you're using your position to benefit your ex-wife, that you're reconciling, and that it's affecting your impartiality, Edward replied. Michael knew there was a grain of truth to it. His feelings for Jennifer were tangled. Seeing her every day, watching how devotedly she cared for their sons, was stirring up emotions he thought were buried. Edward, my boys could barely breathe when they got here. I'm not stopping treatment because of gossip, Michael declared. I understand your position, just be careful, Edward said before leaving. That night, Michael stayed in his office, lost in thought. As he was putting away equipment, he found Jennifer waiting in the reception area. I forgot the boys' bag, she explained. How are they? Michael asked. Sleeping soundly. It's been a week without an attack, she said with relief. Jennifer, I need to ask you something. Michael hesitated. Go ahead. Did you really cheat with Frank? He asked. Jennifer looked at him with sadness. Michael, I would never betray you, not with Frank, not with anyone. I loved you too much for that. But the evidence, the photos, he murmured. What evidence? What photos? She asked, confused. Michael realized something was very wrong. The so-called proof of her infidelity had been shown to him by his mother, but he'd never confronted Jennifer directly about it. My mother showed me photos of you and Frank at the beach hotel, he explained. Michael, I was never at any hotel with Frank. The only time I went out with him was for that medical conference in Miami, and we didn't even stay at the same hotel, said Jennifer, growing more confused by the minute. Can you prove that? Asked Michael. I have all the receipts from that trip. The plane ticket, hotel, even the meals. I kept everything for tax purposes, she replied. Michael felt the ground vanish beneath his feet. Could his own mother have lied about something so serious? Jennifer, could you show me those receipts? Of course, I'll bring them tomorrow, she promised. The next morning, Jennifer arrived with a folder full of documents. The dates were clear. She had traveled alone, stayed at a different hotel than Frank, and returned the next day. Michael, who told you I was with Frank? She asked. My mother. She said she had proof, he answered, feeling sick. What kind of proof? Photos. Photos of you two together, said Michael, remembering the pain he'd felt when he saw them. That's impossible. The only photos we took were during the lectures with other doctors, Jennifer explained. At that moment, Michael's secretary, Mrs. Carroll, a 65-year-old woman who had worked at the practice for over 15 years, knocked on the door. Doctor, may I speak with you for a minute? She asked, sounding nervous. Of course, Mrs. Carroll. It's about those photos your mother brought 3 years ago, she said, avoiding Jennifer's gaze. Michael's blood ran cold. What photos, Mrs. Carroll? Doctor, I couldn't keep this secret any longer. Your mother asked me not to tell, but seeing how much you suffered, how the family fell apart. Her voice trembled. Tell me everything, Mrs. Carroll, Michael urged. The photos were fake, Doctor. Your mother brought them already edited and paid me $500 to say I'd taken them when Ms. Jennifer came here with Dr. Frank, the secretary confessed. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now back to the story. The silence in the office was deafening. Jennifer was pale. Michael looked like he'd been punched in the gut, and Mrs. Carroll wept quietly. Mrs. Carroll, are you saying my mother fabricated the evidence of the affair? Michael asked, his voice breaking. Yes, Doctor. She said it was for your own good, that Miss Jennifer would ruin your career. I really needed the money. My husband was sick and Mrs. Carroll couldn't finish. Jennifer stood abruptly, walking to the window. Her hands trembled visibly. 3 years, Michael. 3 years of our lives, of our children's lives, wasted because of a lie, she said, without turning around. Michael ran his hands through his hair, trying to process the information. His own mother had destroyed his marriage, made him miss the early years of his children's lives. Mrs. Carroll, do you still have the original photos? He asked. Yes, Doctor. Your mother told me to keep everything in case she needed to use them again, the secretary replied, pulling an envelope from her bag. Michael opened the envelope and saw the photos. They were clearly doctored, with rough cuts and poorly done overlays. How had he believed them back then? Why did you believe it? Jennifer asked, still facing away. Because I was insecure. You were beautiful, smart, and I always thought you deserved someone better, Michael admitted. When my mother showed me the photos, it confirmed my worst fears. Jennifer turned to face him. Michael, I chose you. Out of all the men who pursued me, I chose you. Do you really think I'd do that just to betray you later? Michael remembered how Jennifer had turned down wealthy, handsome suitors to be with him, how I had supported his career, how I had dreamed of building a family with him. I was a fool, he murmured. No, you were manipulated. Your mother knew exactly how to hurt you, said Jennifer bitterly. What do we do now? Asked Michael. Now we take care of our children. The rest we'll figure out in time, she replied. In the following weeks, Michael threw himself into caring for the twins with a dedication that impressed everyone around him. He studied every reaction of the boys, adjusted medications, and gradually they began to improve. Ethan started crawling around the office during appointments, always curious about the medical equipment. Noah preferred to stay in his arms, but smiled constantly at Michael, as if recognizing him as his father. They trust you, Jennifer observed during one session. It's instinct. They sense I'm their father, Michael replied, playing with Ethan. But the situation grew complicated when Dr. Victor began spreading more serious rumors through the hospital. I heard Michael is neglecting other patients to care for his own children, he remarked to other doctors. He's too emotionally involved. It compromises medical practice, said another colleague. The rumors reached Dr. Edward, who called Michael in for another conversation. Michael, I need to remove you from your children's case, Edward announced. What do you mean? Michael asked, stunned. Other colleagues question your impartiality. It's best to transfer the case to another pediatrician, Edward explained. Edward, my children have a specific condition few doctors know how to treat. Are you going to risk their lives over hospital politics? Michael argued. It's not politics, Michael. It's medical ethics. Medical ethics is about saving lives. If you take me off this case, you could be condemning my children, Michael said firmly. Edward fell silent, thinking. Michael continued. Give me 2 more weeks. If there's any compromise in my work with other patients, I'll step aside myself. Fine. 2 weeks, Edward agreed. Michael left the meeting determined to prove he could remain professional. Over the next 2 weeks, he worked tirelessly, treating all his patients with the same dedication as always while still caring for the twins. Jennifer noticed his effort and began helping in subtle ways. She arrived early to prepare the nebulizer equipment, organized other patients' records, and even assisted Mrs. Carroll at the front desk. You don't have to do this, Michael said. Yes, I do. Your colleagues are attacking you because of me. It's the least I can do, she replied. One afternoon, Dr. Victor showed up unannounced in Michael's office. I came to check on the progress of your special patients, he said sarcastically. My children are responding very well to treatment, Michael replied, keeping his composure. Interesting, and tell me, do you charge for their care? Victor asked. I don't charge any patient who can't afford it, Michael answered. But in her case, there's obvious personal interest, Victor insinuated. Jennifer, who was present, decided to step in. Dr. Victor, Dr. Michael is saving my children's lives. If that bothers you, perhaps you should question your own motivation for being a doctor. Victor turned red with anger but couldn't respond. Besides, Jennifer continued, I can pay for the treatment. I sold my car and some jewelry to cover it. Jennifer, you don't have to, Michael protested. Yes, I do. I won't let anyone say you're giving me free treatment, she said firmly. Victor left the office empty-handed, but clearly hadn't given up. That evening, Michael was closing up when Mrs. Barbara appeared again. Michael, we need to talk, she said seriously. Mom, if this is about bad-mouthing Jennifer or my kids, you can save your breath, he replied wearily. That's exactly what I want to talk about, she said, surprising him. Michael stopped what he was doing and looked at his mother. Mrs. Carroll told me you confessed about the photos, continued Mrs. Barbara. And? Michael asked coldly. Son, I want to explain why I did it, she said, her voice trembling. There's no explanation that justifies what you did, Mom. Yes, there is. I've lived through what you were going through, Mrs. Barbara said, shocking Michael. What do you mean? When I married your father, his mother did the same thing to me. She claimed I was only interested in the family's money and spread lies about me all over town, she confessed. Michael sat down, seeing his mother in a new light. It almost destroyed my marriage. The only reason it didn't was because your father trusted me more than his own mother, Mrs. Barbara continued. Then why did you do the same thing to me? Michael asked. Because I thought I was protecting you. Jennifer was so young, so beautiful. I thought she'd leave you the moment a better opportunity came along, his mother explained. Mom, Jennifer loved me. We were happy, Michael said sadly. I know that now. Seeing how she cares for my grandchildren, how she fights for them. Mrs. Barbara's voice broke. What do you want from me, Mom? Forgiveness. And a chance to know my grandchildren, she pleaded. Michael was silent for several minutes. Mom, you destroyed 3 years of my life. 3 years I could have spent with my children, he said. I know, son, and I'll carry that guilt for the rest of my life. You'll have to talk to Jennifer too. She suffered the most because of your lies, Michael said. I know, and I will. The next day, Mrs. Barbara showed up at the clinic during the twins' treatment. Jennifer tensed when she saw her. Jennifer, can I talk to you? Her mother-in-law asked. Mrs. Barbara, if this is another attempt to humiliate me, Jennifer began. It's to ask for forgiveness, the older woman interrupted. Jennifer looked at Michael, who nodded encouragingly. Jennifer, I made a terrible mistake, one that cost years of your lives and my grandchildren's, Mrs. Barbara said. You destroyed my family, Jennifer replied coldly. I know, and there's nothing I can do to undo it, but I want to try to make up for at least some of the damage, Mrs. Barbara said. How? I want to help with the boys' treatment. I want to be part of their lives, if you'll allow me, she asked. Jennifer looked at the twins, who were playing in Michael's lap. Ethan stretched his little hands toward Mrs. Barbara, curious. They're innocent in all this, Jennifer finally said. They are, and they deserve to have a grandmother in their lives, Mrs. Barbara replied. Fine, but on one condition, Jennifer said. What? Never interfere in Michael's relationships again, with anyone, Jennifer said firmly. I promise, Mrs. Barbara answered. In the following days, Mrs. Barbara began visiting her grandchildren regularly. She brought toys, helped with their treatment, and gradually earned Jennifer's trust. She's changed, Jennifer remarked to Michael. Guilt made her see how wrong she was, he replied. And what about us? Where does that leave us? Jennifer asked. It was the question Michael had been avoiding. His feelings for Jennifer had come back full force, but he didn't know if she felt the same. I don't know, he answered honestly. I know I still love you. I know I love our children. I know I want to be part of their lives. And me? Am I part of those plans? She asked. That depends on you. Can you forgive me for believing the lies? Michael asked. I forgave you a long time ago. The question is, can you trust me again? Jennifer said. Michael looked at her, at the children they shared between them, at the life they could have together. I want to try, he said. So do I, she replied with a smile. But reconciliation wouldn't be easy. Dr. Victor intensified his campaign against Michael, now spreading rumors that he was using the hospital to win back his ex-wife. That's ridiculous, said Dr. Edward when he heard the rumors, but it's creating a hostile environment, observed another colleague. The tension reached its peak when Victor filed a formal complaint against Michael with the hospital board. Dr. Michael Anderson is using his position for personal gain, compromising medical ethics, Victor declared at the meeting. Michael was called to defend himself before the hospital's medical board. Dr. Michael, the accusations are serious. How do you respond? Asked the director. Director, I'm treating my children for a condition few doctors understand. If that's unethical, then please refer me to a colleague with the same specialization, Michael answered. And what about your personal involvement with the children's mother? Asked another board member. My personal life doesn't interfere with my professional ability. My other patients can confirm that, Michael said. Dr. Edwards spoke in Michael's defense. I've known Michael for 10 years. He's one of the best pediatricians we've ever worked with. His patients adore him, and his results are excellent. But the current situation creates ethical conflicts, insisted another member. What conflicts? Saving children's lives? Michael asked. If you had seen the state my children were in when they arrived here. At that moment, the door opened, and Jennifer walked in, carrying the twins. Excuse the interruption, but I need to say something, she announced. Ma'am, this is a closed meeting, the director said. I'm the mother of the patients in question. I have the right to speak, Jennifer insisted. You may speak, the director agreed. My children were dying when they got here. 3 different doctors said they didn't know how to treat their condition. Dr. Michael saved their lives, Jennifer said firmly. We understand that, but a board member began. Do you? Jennifer interrupted. Then you understand that I don't care if he's my ex-husband, my enemy, or a complete stranger. He saved my children, and that's all that matters. Ethan, in Jennifer's arms, began making sounds directed at Michael. The baby clearly recognized him and wanted to go to his father. Besides, Jennifer continued, I have all the payment receipts for the treatment. There was no financial favoritism. Dr. Victor spoke up. But there's the emotional involvement. Dr. Victor, Jennifer interrupted, may I ask if you have children? I do, he replied, confused. And if your children were sick, wouldn't you do everything in your power to save them? She asked. Of course, but then don't judge a father for doing exactly that, Jennifer concluded. The board deliberated for an hour. When they returned, the director announced, Dr. Michael, we found no evidence of misconduct. The case is closed. Victor left the room visibly upset. Michael sighed in relief, but knew his colleague wouldn't give up easily. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. In the following months, the twins made remarkable progress. Ethan began walking at 11 months, always following Michael around the office. Noah developed an impressive vocabulary for his age, calling Michael Daddy for the first time during an appointment. Daddy, Noah said, stretching out his little arms. Michael felt tears in his eyes. It was the first time he'd heard one of his children call him that. He spoke, exclaimed Jennifer emotionally. Daddy, Daddy, repeated Ethan, not wanting to be left out. At that moment, Michael realized that all the problems, all the difficulties, were worth it for that instant. The relationship between Michael and Jennifer also evolved gradually. They began having dinner together after appointments, always with the boys. They talked about the past, their plans for the future, and how to raise their children. You were the best husband I could have had, Jennifer said one night. Were? Michael asked with a smile. She corrected. You are the best father our children could have. And you are the best mother, he replied. They were growing closer again, but there were still wounds to heal. One night, Michael was working late at the office when he received a frantic call from Jennifer. Michael, Noah has a very high fever and can't breathe properly, she shouted over the phone. I'm on my way, he said, dropping everything. Michael arrived at Jennifer's apartment in record time. Noah had a fever of 102 degrees and was clearly struggling to breathe. Let's go to the hospital, Michael said, scooping the boy into his arms. During the car ride, Michael administered first aid while Jennifer drove desperately. Ethan cried in the back seat, sensing the tension. Is he going to be okay? Jennifer asked, tears in her eyes. He will. It's a relapse, but I know how to treat it, Michael reassured her. At the hospital, Michael worked for 3 straight hours to stabilize Noah. The crisis was under control, but the boy would need to stay hospitalized for a few days. It was scary, Michael explained to Jennifer, but he's out of danger. Jennifer collapsed into his arms, crying with relief. Michael instinctively held her, feeling as though it was natural to be there for her. Thank you for saving our son, she murmured. Our son, Michael repeated, liking how it sounded. During Noah's 3-day hospital stay, Michael and Jennifer took turns by his side. Michael slept in the room's armchair. Jennifer brought Ethan to visit his brother. It was during one of these visits that Dr. Victor appeared in the room. Michael, you shouldn't be here. There are other doctors on duty, he said. I'm the child's father, Michael replied impatiently. And the attending physician. That's a conflict of interest, Victor insisted. Dr. Victor, Jennifer interrupted. With all due respect, could you please leave? My son is recovering and doesn't need additional stress. Ma'am, Dr. Victor. A firm voice spoke from the doorway. It was Dr. Edward. Can you explain what you're doing here? I'm checking for irregularities, Victor answered. In a patient's room, outside your shift, without authorization, Edward questioned. Victor left without responding, clearly embarrassed. Michael, that man is becoming a problem, Edward remarked. He's jealous of my position at the hospital, Michael explained. I'll speak to the board. This can't continue, Edward promised. In the following days, as Noah recovered at home, Michael spent more time with the family. He came to Jennifer's apartment after work, helped with the boys' dinner, played with them on the living room floor. I've missed this, he confessed one night. Missed what? Jennifer asked. Being a family, he answered. We are a family. We just don't live in the same house, she said. What if we did? Michael asked, surprising even himself with his own boldness. Jennifer stayed silent for a few minutes, watching the boys play. Are you sure about what you're proposing? She finally asked. I am. I want us to be a real family, Michael said. And your mother? Jennifer asked. She'll have to accept it. We've already lost 3 years because of her interference, Michael replied firmly. Michael, I want this too. But I need to be sure you won't doubt me again, said Jennifer. Never again. I learned the hard way that you're the most honest person I know, he replied. Then yes, she said with a smile. I want us to be a family. They kissed for the first time in nearly 4 years while the twins played at their feet, oblivious to the historic moment they were witnessing. But Dr. Victor hadn't given up yet. He devised an even more elaborate plan to harm Michael. The following week, he spread rumors that Michael was neglecting other patients to care for his own family. He even suggested Michael was falsifying medical records. This is very serious, said Dr. Edward when he heard the rumors. Edward, you've known me for 10 years. Would I falsify records? Michael asked, outraged. Of course not, but I have to investigate formally, Edward explained. The investigation lasted 2 weeks. Every one of Michael's records was reviewed, and all his patients were interviewed. The result was unanimous. Michael was an exemplary doctor. Patients only have praise for him, reported the investigator, and the records are all flawless, added another. Dr. Victor was called in to explain his baseless accusations. Dr. Victor, your accusations were false. This could be considered slander, said the hospital director. I was certain that, Victor began. Certain of what? That you could ruin a colleague's career with lies? Asked another board member. Dr. Victor, you're suspended for 2 weeks to reflect, the director announced. Victor left the room humiliated, but Michael felt no satisfaction. He just wanted peace to care for his family. During Victor's suspension, Michael and Jennifer began planning their future. They decided to remarry, this time with their children present. It'll be a small ceremony, Jennifer said. Just family and close friends. And the boys as ring bearers, Michael suggested. They'll love that, she replied. Mrs. Barbara was moved when she heard about the wedding. Son, I'm so happy for you, she said. Mum, thank you for understanding, Michael replied. No, thank you for giving me a second chance with my grandchildren, she said. And with me too, Jennifer added, surprising her mother-in-law. Jennifer, Mrs. Barbara began. Mrs. Barbara, we all make mistakes. What matters is learning from them, Jennifer said generously. The wedding was set for December, in the garden of the clinic where Michael worked. It would be an outdoor ceremony, simple but meaningful. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, Ethan and Noah, now 1 year and 3 months old, were fully recovered. They ran around the office, played with medical equipment under supervision, and charmed every patient. They look just like their daddy, an elderly patient remarked. And they're as clever as their mom, Michael added. The day before the wedding brought an unexpected surprise. Dr. Victor showed up at Michael's office. I came to apologize, he said, clearly embarrassed. Victor. Michael was stunned. Michael, I made terrible mistakes. I let jealousy blind me, Victor confessed. Why did you do it? Michael asked. Because I wanted your position at the hospital. You were always the patient's favorite, the most respected. I thought if I could discredit you... Victor's voice trailed off. Victor, you're a good doctor. "You didn't need to do this," Michael said. "I know. And now it's too late. I'm being transferred to another hospital," Victor admitted. "I'm sorry," Michael said, and he meant it. "Don't be. I deserve it," Victor replied. "I just wanted you to know how deeply I regret it, and that you deserve all the happiness in the world." After Victor left, Michael reflected on how envy could destroy good people. He himself had almost been destroyed by insecurity and outside influences. On the wedding day, the garden looked beautiful. White flowers decorated the trees, and white chairs formed an aisle leading to a small improvised altar. Michael was nervous, adjusting his tie for the 10th time. "Son, relax," said Mrs. Barbara. "She's going to say yes." "It's not that, Mum. I just don't want to mess up with her again," Michael confessed. "You won't mess up. You love each other. You have beautiful children. That's all that matters," his mother reassured him. On the other side of the garden, Jennifer was getting ready with the help of 2 friends. She wore a simple yet elegant white dress with blue accents. "You look beautiful," said one of her friends. "I'm happy," Jennifer replied. "For the first time in years, I'm completely happy." The twins were dressed in identical little navy blue suits with bow ties. Ethan wouldn't stay still, wanting to explore everything. Noah observed everything with his big, curious eyes. The ceremony began to the sound of a string quartet. The guests stood as Jennifer appeared, carrying Noah, followed by Mrs. Carroll, who held Ethan's hand. Tears welled up in Michael's eyes as he watched his family walking toward him. Jennifer was radiant, the boys were adorable, and everything felt like a dream he never wanted to wake from. "You look beautiful," he murmured when she reached the altar. "So do you," she replied with a smile. The priest, an elderly and kind man, began the ceremony. "Dear guests, we are gathered here today not only to celebrate the union of Michael and Jennifer, but also the reunion of a family where love overcame all adversity." During the vows, Michael spoke emotionally. "Jennifer, I was your husband once before, and I failed. I promise that this time I'll be the husband and father you all deserve. I promise to always trust you, support our dreams, and care for our family with all my love." Jennifer also spoke. "Michael, you saved our children's lives, and you saved my heart. I promise to love you through all hardships, to always trust you, and to build a strong family by your side." When it was time for the rings, Ethan started crying. Not wanting to be left out, Noah joined in. "I think they want to be part of the ceremony," the priest chuckled. Michael picked up Ethan, Jennifer held Noah, and the babies immediately calmed down. "Now you may exchange rings," said the priest. With their sons in their arms, Michael and Jennifer exchanged rings to the emotional applause of the guests. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife once again. You may kiss the bride," the priest announced. The kiss was quick, because Ethan tried to wiggle between them. Everyone laughed at the scene. The reception was simple but joyful. Mrs. Carroll had prepared a delicious buffet. Dr. Edward gave a moving speech about perseverance and love, and even some of Michael's former patients showed up to congratulate the couple. During the waltz, Michael and Jennifer danced with the babies in their arms. "Not exactly how I imagined my wedding dance," Jennifer laughed. "It's better," Michael replied. "It's perfect." As they danced, Michael glanced at the guests. Mrs. Barbara was chatting animatedly with Mrs. Carroll, swapping stories about their grandchildren. Dr. Edward played with the other children present. Everything seemed harmonious. "What are you thinking about?" Jennifer asked. "I'm thinking about how I almost lost all this because of pride and insecurity," Michael admitted. "But you didn't lose it. We're here," she said. "That's true. And this time, I'll do everything right," he promised. "We'll do everything right," she corrected. At the end of the reception, when the guests had left and the boys were finally asleep, Michael and Jennifer sat in the garden, gazing at the stars. "So, Dr. Anderson, what are the plans for our new life?" asked Jennifer. "Well, Dr. Anderson," said Michael, remembering she was also a doctor, "first we'll finish making sure our boys are completely healthy. Then, maybe we can think about giving them little siblings." "Little siblings?" she asked in surprise. "Only if you want to," he quickly replied. I think the twins would love having little siblings, she answered with a smile. And I'd love having more children with you, Michael said. They kissed again, this time without any baby interruptions. In the months that followed, the Anderson family lived in pure happiness. Michael reduced his hours at the hospital to spend more time at home. Jennifer returned to work part-time at her private practice. The twins developed remarkably. Ethan proved to be a born adventurer, always exploring new corners of the house and the office. Noah showed early intelligence, speaking full sentences before turning 2. "Daddy, I'm going to be a doctor like you," Noah said one day. "And I'm going to be a pilot," declared Ethan. "You can be whatever you want," Michael replied. "Mommy and I will always support you." The relationship between Jennifer and Mrs. Barbara also blossomed. Her mother-in-law became a loving and present grandmother, never interfering in the couple's life again. "Mrs. Barbara has changed so much," Jennifer remarked to Michael. "Guilt made her reflect on her actions," he answered. "And her love for her grandchildren transformed her," Jennifer added. At the hospital, Michael was promoted to head of pediatrics after Dr. Edward retired. His colleagues respected him not just for his skill, but for how he had handled every hardship. Dr. Victor, at his new hospital, sent a congratulatory card for the promotion. It read, "You deserved this promotion long ago. Sorry for almost ruining your happiness." "He's changed too," Jennifer said after reading the card. "Sometimes people need to fall before they learn to rise," Michael mused. 2 years after their marriage, Jennifer discovered she was pregnant again. Michael was overjoyed at the news. "Another baby!" he exclaimed, spinning Jennifer in the air. "Easy there, doctor. This time it might just be one," she laughed. "Only one?" "What a disappointment," Michael teased. The twins, now 3, were thrilled at the idea of a little sibling. "Will it be a boy or a girl?" Ethan asked. "We'll find out together," Jennifer replied. Throughout the pregnancy, Michael was an even more attentive husband. He attended every prenatal visit, set up the nursery with the twins, and even learned to cook special meals for Jennifer. "You're spoiling me too much," she said. "I'm making up for lost time," he answered. In the 7th month, they learned it was a girl. "A princess!" the twins exclaimed in unison. "What should we name her?" Michael asked. "How about Hope?" Jennifer suggested. "Hope Anderson. Perfect," Michael agreed. The name was symbolic. Hope represented everything they had achieved, the hope for a second chance, a united family, and a love that overcame every hardship. Hope was born on a sunny spring morning. The twins waited eagerly at the hospital to meet their sister. "She's so tiny," Noah observed. "And very pretty," Ethan added. "She's perfect," Michael said, cradling his daughter. "Just like our family," Jennifer finished. Mrs. Barbara cried with emotion when she met her granddaughter. Mrs. Carroll brought a handmade gift. Dr. Edward, now retired, made sure to visit the family at the hospital. "Michael, you've built a beautiful family," his former boss said. "We built it," Michael corrected, looking at Jennifer. 5 years after their reunion in the office, the Anderson family was complete. Michael was recognized as one of the best pediatricians in the state. Jennifer had opened a clinic specializing in preventive medicine. The twins were intelligent and healthy children. Hope was growing into a curious and affectionate girl. On a Sunday afternoon, they were all in the backyard of their home. Michael was playing soccer with the boys, Jennifer was tending to the garden with Hope, and Mrs. Barbara was preparing a barbecue. "Daddy, tell us again the story of how you and Mommy met," Noah asked. "Which part do you want to hear?" Michael replied. "The part where you fainted," Ethan said, laughing. "I didn't exactly faint." Michael defended himself. "Yes, you did," Jennifer confirmed, walking over to the group. "When you saw there were 2 babies who looked just like you." "It was the happiest shock of my life," Michael said, hugging his wife. "And mine too," she replied. "Will you stay together forever?" Hope asked. "Forever and 1 more day," Michael promised. "And 2 more days," Jennifer added. "And 3 more days," the twins said in unison. "And infinite more days," Hope finished, even though she didn't fully understand the concept of infinity. As the sun set in the backyard, the Anderson family celebrated not just another Sunday together, but the entire journey that had brought them there. A journey marked by pain, separation, lies, and misunderstandings, but one that had ultimately led to love, truth, forgiveness, and a second chance. Michael looked at each member of his family and knew he had made the right choices, forgiving Jennifer for not telling him about the pregnancy, forgiving his mother for her manipulation, forgiving himself for doubting true love. "Thank you," he whispered to the universe. "Thank you for what?" Jennifer asked. "For our second chance," he answered. "Third chance," she corrected. "The first was when we met, the second when we first got married, and this is the third." "Then let's make it count," Michael said. "Let's," she agreed. And so, under the starry sky of a perfect evening, the Anderson family sealed their commitment once again. To love, trust, and the hope that no matter how difficult the obstacles, true love always finds its way back home. The end. Now tell us what you thought of this story of second chances and family reconciliation. Do you believe Michael and Jennifer made the right choices? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.